to cover some of the last of June 2016. Kind of a crazy month. I've had my share of it, believe me. Things I won't even tell you about. Very confusing. Well, upshot is, you're going to have a full moon Monday at 29 Sag. And that's nice because it gets you away from the last full moon that was on Mars and made everybody angry and defensive and likely to go off and, suddenly. I saw some of that too. Of course, the big news still is that Neptune's stationed and stopped 4 days ago for you on June 13th. And man, we got floods everywhere, all over the world. Texas and Florida and Australia, and here in downtown Kona it was flooding last night. So we're in a month of flooding, but it's also a month of confusion. And because Neptune is squaring old Saturn here, and we had a new moon opposing Saturn, we're not liking CEOs and managers and judges. And yes. And Jupiter's in square too. We're overdoing it all. So we've still got this grand cross going on here. See it? Everything at 90 degrees. And I've learned one thing. I call it a month of looking over your shoulder, because you can't be sure of what's going on. No. Can't be sure at all. Here's the other thing, is that Mercury, poor little Mercury here, is moving up. It's at 7 degrees, 6 degrees while you're watching this show on Thursday. And it's going to move up and hit 12 degrees on Monday. And it opposes Saturn and squares Neptune. So there's going to be some confusing words. Some kids get lost. Some communication, transportation insecurities, let's call it, fuzziness, breakdowns of some kind. It's very, very sticky. And you watch what happens Monday. Inside and outside, huh? I'm reminded of what Lama Rinpoche told me before he left. Astrology, he said, the study of time. And I said, how do you become a better astrologer? And this wise old man with the Buddha's bump on his head, wrapped in orange robes, looked at me and said, look inside, look outside, look at the chart. Well, here's the chart. Let's take a look at it and see what happens. We're going to check it out as the moon moves around this every month. As it goes through each day, it makes angles to these planetary bodies, and that's what generates the mood of the times. Now, this isn't your chart. This is the generic chart of everybody. When you're out in public or you're with other people, you'll find that this kind of works. Your chart could go off early or late, so there's a little fuzziness here. But if you're with a big group of people, whoa, you'll see it work, because it averages out, huh? And if you're there on Thursday night, look at that. Here's the moon going by Mars. Now this is late. You might remember, where is that? I think I tried to explain some of this before, but essentially these lines between the days, that's 2 a.m. in the morning Hawaii time. So these are for midnight West Coast. So when you're looking for more accurate time and you look at this Mars hit here, I've marked it, right when the, when the thing hits is 2 lines before, 2 notches. Each notch is like 2 hours. So if this was 2 a.m. and the next one is midnight, then here is 10 p.m. in Hawaii. You'll see that moon going by Mars. And you could actually see it up in the sky if you looked. Mars is definitely red. Yes. So what happens? Well, we all get kind of randy. We all get aggressive. You know, some of us just get nice Mars energy, go fix something. Others get ticked off, impatient, and angry. You know, the job is to protect something and to do physical work to protect something. Yeah. So if you don't know what to protect, Mars, well, then Mars gets all angry and upset, and out comes the sword, and you got the god of war on your hands. But he's really an agricultural god. This is Ku in Hawaiian, the cutter of canoes and the keeper of the forest and the trees. You know, and we got tree problems here in Hawaii. Our main tree, Ohia, is being attacked. Anyway, Mars, because there's a lot of work to do here. No sense getting angry, huh? You go back a little further, let's see if Thirsty was here. Here's Wednesday night, you had a lot of enlightenment of this Neptune, Pluto, Jupiter. Maybe things aren't quite what you seem, huh? I've sure learned that. I'm insecure about everything, and I'm looking over my shoulder a lot of the time now after some of the things that have happened. And I hope you're getting by okay, and you're not too angry here Thursday night. The moon's in Scorpio. It's a fixed sign. Mars is at 23-24, so if you get angry, it's fixed. It's hard to get unangry. You got to ask yourself, what am I protecting? What am I protecting? What am I protecting? Till you get it clear, and then bang, the anger's gone. Continues kind of through Friday morning until, 2 o'clock in the afternoon is about the middle between these lines, and then the moon shifts into Sagittarius, and the vibes change. Oh yeah, and they're going to start getting difficult because you might get through Friday, but there's Mercury troubles early Saturday morning, communication and transportation, and Mercury here, well, he's not doing too well. He's getting close to the opposition to Saturn, a square to Neptune. So, Saturday, my goodness, look at Saturday. Here's the moon going by Saturn. We're not liking the CEOs, no, and management. And these people are making rules and regulations and laws, and they're just a lot of them are very confused. I'm having my share, I'll tell you. So I'm just trying to, not get upset and continue. What do we say? Keep calm, carry on. So Saturday is a day to do that. And, don't get upset if you get delayed, if things don't work out quite the way you think, because that's the name of the game here. Yep, sorry. So, peaks out in the middle of the day, but here's Neptune. Oh, wait a minute, 12 degrees, huh? 10, 12, here's the marker. Kind of in the middle of the day, the moon's going by Saturn. Now, he's a different animal from Mars. Saturn will make you depressed, feel old, you'll get dehydrated, drink a lot of water, and try not to freeze things into laws, or rules or regulations. Wait, you got to go between the lines. I find myself getting ticked off even at the signs on the road that say speed limit, blah, blah, blah. Who set that speed limit? Is that speed limit a law? Well, it certainly is, because if you exceed it, they give you a ticket, and it costs a lot of money. Saturn is the cross of matter over the crescent of people, so he'll get your money. This is the banker, and here's the judge. And you know what they do? They take your money. Bankers are supposed to save your money, but they don't. Oh, you're overdrawn by 5 cents, $27 fine. Oh, you exceeded the speed limit by 10 miles an hour, $500 fine. So Saturn is a bitch, frankly, and he likes to get your money. He makes these rules, and then when you exceed him, he grabs your money. That's his method of operation. So, confusion, delusion, concerns about rules and laws and management and stuff here Saturday, a difficult time. We had a new moon in Gemini at 15 degrees, and that comes in here clear about dinner time, and after dinner the moon's opposing where that 15 Gemini was, and squaring Jupiter, and we're overdoing it, and there's lunacy and exaggerated emotion, and Saturday is one heck of a day. Stay home. Sunday, hopefully you're going to recuperate a little bit, June 19th, and in the middle of the day, in the early afternoon, here's finally a trine to Uranus. A little common sense comes along, but it's not going to solve all the problems that this guy Saturn has set up for you. A little common sense would help a lot here, though. There is full moon here. It's late Sunday night. This is the full moon at 29 degrees of Sag right here. And it takes you out of the angry full moon we've had for a month. So it's kind of a good full moon at 29 Sag. It's not... It trines Uranus. A lot of common sense will start to flow here and feel better. Monday morning, though, after breakfast, here's an opposition to Venus, and we're not happy with the young girls. And Venus has had a lot of trouble, as she went by this Grand Cross, and so we're feeling kind of lazy and feel a little like giving up, and we're not liking the girls all prancing around, showing too much skin and being too flirtatious. Stop that, girls, stop that. Monday night, moon still in Capricorn. We hit kind of a sweet spot because here's a sextile to Neptune. Yeah, and here's a trine to Jupiter, and some wisdom flows, and some natural belief comes back, some compassion enters the scene. And finally here Tuesday morning, real early, the moon goes by Pluto. Now Pluto likes discovery. He wants to go and, when he was kicking, such wonderful new knowledge about pyramids and the age of we found out a lot of our archaeology was just, smoke and mirrors. Civilization didn't start in the Fertile Crescent. No, I found out there's a cave in Europe where it's 100,000 years old. They're writing on walls and doing wonderful paintings, and there were bones of jaguars and cats, house cats, 100,000 years ago. Men that were living in those caves and painting those wonderful pictures had pet cats like we do, and pet jaguars. One of the issues that came up here, somebody said, those guys were just eating, panthers and jaguars. No. Something interesting with cats is they only taste protein. They don't have the salt, sweet, sugar, bitter that we have in all the animals have those 4 sensors in their mouths, but cats don't have those. They can't taste salt or bitter or sweet. They can only taste protein. Other things about cats is they don't have any arthritis or bone things. They do natural yoga as soon as they wake up, and so something's going on with cats because nobody eats them. You look all around the world at all the traditional cultures, all the native cultures, all of the indigenous peoples who, and they'll eat almost everything. The Chinese, boy, they just sampled everything, but they don't eat cats, little ones or big ones. I haven't found anybody. I think cats probably don't taste very good, or there's something going on with them, but nobody eats them. We'll eat dogs, we'll eat foxes, we'll eat bears, we'll eat elephants, we'll eat everything. Eat bugs, but we don't eat cats. Anybody knows anything about that, let me know. I'm interested. You can email me at rollinfrost@yahoo.com. Well, that discovery was just one. Hope you have some discoveries Tuesday morning. There's a square to Uranus, and your electrical things are having trouble late Tuesday night here. Twist the plugs, it's in the connections. Feel a little bit alone? Well, that's normal. Continues through Wednesday morning. And Wednesday after breakfast, the moon shifts into Aquarius right here. Vibes change again. Mellows out considerably. Yes. There's actually some goodies going on here. Here's Mercury, Uranus. There's a lot of planets here lined up in harmony, and Thursday could be quite mellow, not at all like you've been experiencing on Saturdays. So hopefully your mind starts working in genius ways. Here's Uranus, and it's sextiling Mercury. A Mercury-Uranus sextile. Mercury is your mind, of course, the part that makes words and numbers. Uranus is the higher mind, the genius mind that gets flashes of intuition. And I've had some about Nikola Tesla I'm going to tell you about. Wow. I'm questioning everything now. I'm questioning Einstein and all this stuff about gravity and space and the Big Bang Theory and all these things that we've been told in school from so-called physicists, scientists, and I'm not sure about all of them anymore. That magnetism and gravity and all these things are what they tell us. Certainly Tesla knew that. Well, anyway, you could discover a lot of neat stuff here Thursday night and Friday morning with that Uranus-Mercury sextile. Friday night, the moon shifts into Pisces. You're in the Neptune zone. There's a trine to the sun late Friday night, and you're feeling like you really got a plan together here. Things are inspired. Play the music. Let's have fun. But look out. Neptune, is not behaving. No, not behaving at all. He's in square to Saturn, an opposing Jupiter, and there's confusion. It's not what you thought. Look over your shoulder. There's sneaky people. There's lying and deception going on. Neptune, your normal priest, artist, doctor, musician, always has at least half of them are true bloods, Jesus. But the other half tend to be pickpockets and deceivers, and their hands in your pocket for money or sex. And you can only trust half of the doctors and half of the priests. And how do you tell a good Neptune from a bad Neptune? Well, I'll tell you, these are Pisces kinds of things. And the more glittery and more color and acting and flash somebody puts on, usually the more Neptune, they're trying to distract you, with the sound and light show. And you don't listen to the music. Well, the music is lousy. Everybody thinks Prince is such a goody-goody. Well, he was all flash and glitter. And I don't remember any music. Real music, comes from Eric Satie and Bach and Beethoven and the Beatles and, real music you remember. So I hope you get good Neptune. This is Saturday now, and you're subject to the new moon opposing Saturn. Eek! CEOs, managers, people making laws, and they're confused, and they don't know what the law is. And let's lower the blood alcohol, and let the officer stop everybody on the road and sniff their breath. Any alcohol at all, put them in jail. I mean, these things are done in a misguided way, these laws, and there's a lot of them going on. And Saturday is happening again here on the 25th. I would keep my head down and look over my shoulder and expect more flooding, which is getting to be a regular thing here, Fridays and Saturdays. Yeah. One more flood, one more period of confusion, Sunday the 25th. And you won't get out of it all that easily until you get clear to the end of Saturday. And finally, here's a sextile to Pluto, and you discover new things and you get some control. It's after dinner, though, Saturday. And, don't drink. Of course, a good way to think about these Saturdays is that everybody is drunk and drinking and they're confused. And if you expect that of people, when you see people driving around and they're lost, well, that's Neptune, and you expect it. Don't expect people on Saturdays to behave normally. Expect them to behave like drunken people who are lost. Yeah, that's the way it is. Sunday, it'll slowly wind down on the 26th until, after dinner when the moon shifts into Aries, and you'll be out of this mutable, nightmarish feeling of being lost and hemmed in by bad laws and things. So, well, a month of looking over your shoulder, paranoia. What's the song say? Paranoia. Well, never mind. I'm not going to accent it. I just hope you get through it without personal floods, deceptions, confusions. Don't get caught up in it. It ain't over until we get to July 4th or something, and another new moon comes in and takes us out of this dreadful Grand Cross. Oh, I got to share a couple things with you. Recent discoveries. Old movie, an H.G. Wells movie. I was reading H.G. Wells science fiction when I was 7. Loved him. Anyway, in the movie it said, what can't be cured must be endured. Endured. Very true. A second quote is from Nikola Tesla. On September 9th, 1915, he wrote about if we use our fuel to get our power, he's talking about burning oil and coal and gas, we are living on our capital and exhausting it rapidly. This method is barbarous and wantonly wasteful and will have to be stopped in the interest of coming generations. He said the heat of the sun's rays represents an immense amount of energy, vastly in excess of water power. So he's recommending we use the sun's power. But here he is, 1915, that's 100 years ago, and Tesla is saying burning our fuel to get power is barbarous and wantonly wasteful, and will have to be stopped in the interest of coming generations. Are there any of our politicians talking about coming generations? Of course, Tesla had no idea about global warming at the time. Imagine he'd be turning over in his grave about now. That not only are we wasting our fuel, living on our capital and exhausting it, but we have managed to really mess up our atmosphere and the heat balances of the earth. And now we've got global warming. Eek! All right, here is my website where you will find the last 5 or 6 shows, the complete shows. When you get there, you'll see the turtle, my Amakua, Honu, swimming in the oceans of the heavens, and he looks up, he's looking at the planets and the stars. Honu is the only animal that continually checks the sky mirror, like me. Anyway, why am I giving you this? I want you to start watching the show on skymirrorastrology.com/TV. You don't have to wait for the public access station. And recently we've had management changes on the Big Island especially, and they have started messing up the show. The last 2 Thursday shows didn't air, and the management is making new rules. And it looks like they're trying to give favor to people who sit in their office and kowtow to them and not to the experienced producers on the island that have been around for 20 years like me. They demoted me. And so, we cannot guarantee that these public access stations, and that applies to Oahu and Maui. Kauai is about the only station that's never messed up and doesn't have these Saturn confusions. But the rest of you, don't watch public access. Get the show here. Yes, SkyMirrorAstrology.com. Now, if you leave the /TV off, you'll get the SkyMirrorAstrology.com. You'll get the website for the app, and which is a really good thing for you. And there's a little commercial on my website for the thing too. But the main thing is you can watch the show when you want. You can back it up. You can fast forward it. You can go back and look at it again because you're on the internet. And I'm reminded that these public access stations, we've been fighting the battles for 20 years over who's a producer and who's a presenter and what the time slots are. And these little organizations are really full of all kinds of disturbances. And reminds me of the newspapers, like were bought out here by right-wing conservatives and then slowly, ruined. And the internet came along with Craigslist and gave us free advertising and free ads, and we're no longer giving it to the newspapers, and they have dwindled down to almost nothing, rightly so, because they did terrible business practices. They drove out the one good newspaper, Kauai Landing, we had here, and in sneaky ways to grab their advertisers, and now they own both the Hilo and the Kona newspaper. And what do we get? George Will's column, and that's about it. So, these newspapers are on their last legs, and it was the internet that took over and filled the space. And this is the same thing we got to do here, folks. Yeah. Well, I knew there was going to be trouble, because as soon as this new management came on board, they told us we had to air these 3 10-second things or they wouldn't air the show. What is that? They're grabbing half a minute off the show. So here's a disclaimer. Naleo, Hawaii, and Ocean, and these affiliates and their cable carriers are not responsible for the views expressed. Yeah. Ugh. And they require me to put on here. Then they had a public disclosure. There's this one. And they tried to say, oh, this program was made in Hilo at the Naleo office. No, it's not. It's made here with old used equipment in my house, in my home. And here it is. You could do a show too. But, they're trying to discriminate now. Sorry.